And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with State Senator Mark Amodei. You know, it's interesting. Danny Tarkanian has a brand. Sue Loudon has a brand. Sharon Angle has a brand. What's your brand?
Workhorse, not a show horse. Plays right into where you're at. It's like, listen, I'm out talking to people about the issues. Out, saying, here's what I've done for you over the last 14 years. Not that I ever held a press conference. Been involved in some heavy lifts. When I say I'm going to work on something, I work on it till it's over. They carry me out on my shield. I think those are the sort of, and you gave me a bad time about using the phrase blue collar last time, but it's like, that's the way I feel about it. It's like, listen, when I tied myself to a stake on gross receipts in 2003, we got rid of that in the Senate. That was a Nevada income tax and Nevada IRS. I think that's an important thing. Didn't ever stand up and take credit for it. I mean, there was 8 other people that helped me do that. But the brand is this guy is a thoughtful guy who listens to everybody and then goes and works hard to try to get the policy right. Now, that's not sexy or violence or anything else like that, but I think that's what you need right now as a contrast to what we've had going, which is somebody will go back there and focus on Nevada.
Fundraising amounts are going to be coming out later this month. What are we going to see from Mark Amodei?
We're going to see around $100,000, and it's like, I was never a prolific fundraiser in the legislature, and the professionals hate that, because I'm like, listen, if you think this is something you want to support, you'll support it. It's like, oh no, you've got to change, and you've got to go, grab people by the throat and all that other sort of stuff. And so we've tried to balance some of that, and we've left people alone during the holidays. But the other thing is I tell people, they say, well, how much money are you going to raise? And I answer the question this way. I said, listen, Nevada's in the tank. There's not a lot of in-state money floating around. And I think if you look at what everybody's done, including Harry Reid, it's like, Nevada's in the tank. So you have to try to develop some traction out of state. But by the same token, when you're planning on running what is mostly a grassroots effort, I mean, against a guy who's going to have ostensibly $20 to $25 million, if you think you're going to go out and raise money, I don't care how rich you say you are, it's like nobody's going to have as much money as the incumbent. So your plan had better be something to connect with people other than on the basis of I'm going to spend the same or outspend. I think outspending is a terrible message to send in view of the economy and what's going on in Nevada right now.
Okay, now in a Republican primary, a big subject all the time is taxes.
Yep.
And we go back to the 2003 session, the CARE Amodei bill, or the Amodei CARE bill. You were going to raise over $1 billion in taxes. How do you justify that with your constituency in this primary?
Well, here's how we've done it, Ray, and you've got part of the story, but the rest of the story is this. Don't be a Republican who just says no. So when we saw the governor's proposal that said, create a Nevada income tax and an IRS, it's like, okay, here's our proposal. And it had services and it had room tax in it. Now, funny how room tax has been reevaluated 60 short months later by the teachers and the casino industry on the Strip, some of it. But the first point was, okay, I'm not just going to be a no Republican. The second part that nobody realizes about that bill is it had a budget cap in it. I'm the only guy in the race that's ever, you talk about taxes all the time, but an equal part of the issue on government fiscal responsibility is your spending policy. Nobody else in this race has ever proposed a budget policy. And in fact, there are people in the race who voted no on taxes and yes on the budget in the same cycle.
Who was that?
That's called deficit spending.
Who was that?
You can go look.
Sharon Angle?
Go look. I'm just saying, when you talk about, well, where's Amodei on taxes, it's like, yeah, I proposed that bill. Where, if it had gotten approved, the number that it would have gotten approved at would have been the subject of some give and take. But we weren't going to give him the stick to say, you're just a no-nick, which is still being used against Republicans in a lot of stuff. Well, here's our idea. Second of all, when we put it in, it was like, here's a budget cap, spending cap that's a meaningful one. Nobody else has ever done that. Thought all the way around the issue, which gets back to what's your brand. The guy thinks all the way around the issue, he talks to stakeholders, and he tries to get the policy right. Nobody else in the race can say that.
What are your thoughts on Senator Reid's comments that were published in the book over the weekend?
You know what, Sam?
Game change.
It's interesting in the Nevada thing, because people are like, oh, you need to resign, you need to not resign. That issue's been brought up about Nevada federal legislative representation not too long ago in other areas. That's not going to happen. So while maybe at the national level people are having fun saying you should resign your post or something else like that, I've lived in Nevada all my life. Harry Reid's not going to quit that post, and he's not going to not run for the Senate. If I'm wrong, you can call me on here and chastise me. But it's like, listen, in some ways, I don't think it's real big news. I mean, Harry's got a string of things where I will just say he's at least insensitive, you know? But as one of the earlier news programs reported today, it's like, listen, he's the guy that Nevadans appear to love to hate. They keep sending him back because there's a perception that he delivers. I disagree with that when it's 65 cents on the dollar that you get back. You're sending my own money back. Don't ask me
But
to
isn't
thank you.
that goes down to the fact that we don't put up enough money as a state to get the matching funds that would get us more money back?
Well, but Sam, you look at a state like Utah, when you talk about whether you put up enough money or not, do you need to spend more money as a state? And you get back to the budget where it's like, you tell me where in Nevada we're going to get more money to spend. I don't buy that. It's like, if you're the most powerful man in the Senate, you should be able to do something about that. You can do something about Nebraska's deal. You can do something about Louisiana's deal. Chris Dodd can get a... And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, if you're the most powerful guy in the Senate, then it shouldn't be, oh, we don't like your tax system. Our tax system has been what it is for a lot of years. Paul Laxalt didn't say that when we were getting a lot more money back. It was like, listen, we're trying to do better in the budget process. Not through earmarks and stuff that leaves winners and losers. It's like, listen, if this is righteous, we should have that. Not who can deliver for you on stuff that leaves a nasty taste in everybody else's mouth. It's like, if we're sending this much back, we should get a fair return on our investment, as do other people. So I don't think he's, you know, the resignation stuff, they're having fun with it or whatever, but the part I agree with is this, is Harry Reid's a fighter. All of the poll data that you see, nobody's been subjected to the Reid machine yet, and I would submit to you that that will... Well,
there's been a little hand slapping, but not that much, and that's where we got to leave it.
Okay.
We appreciate you being here. You're always welcome back.
Thank you
so
guys.
much.
Appreciate
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
To get a DVD copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The cost is $30, including shipping, handling, and tax.